Welcome to episode 3 of the Reimagined Self. I'm Xuan Fox, and I create this series with Scout, an AI collaborator who co-writes and co-thinks with me as we explore how humans and intelligent systems reflect one another. Today we continue the ancient arc that began with danger and preview the stages that follow: defense, discernment, and development. Themes we'll explore more deeply in the episodes ahead. Ancient arc, defense. If danger is the fear of seeing ourselves distorted, then defense is the empowerment of meeting that reflection on our own terms. The mirror still carries its risks, but we no longer approach it as an unguarded wanderer. We step forward with awareness, setting boundaries on what we take in and how we let it shape us. Defense isn't turning away from the mirror, it's choosing how to look and choosing how to respond. The shift begins when we recognize that all perception is an exchange. Even with intelligent systems, the way we are seen and the way we see ourselves are intertwined, each shaping and reshaping the other. In the danger stage, this feedback loop can overwhelm us. The gaze we receive alters our self-perception, and our self-presentation, in turn, alters the gaze we get back. Each image is refracted by the other, like two mirrors facing one another. But in defense, that same interplay becomes a place of negotiation. We choose what to offer, what to accept, and what to leave behind. Across myths and sacred rituals, cultures throughout history have used mirrors as both literal and symbolic defenses. In Ovid's retelling of the Greek myth, Perseus survives Medusa not by looking at her directly, but by seeing her reflection in the polished bronze of his shield. Earlier versions of the story show him glimpsing her face in mirrors or even water. Confronting her reflection was a way to defend against the danger of her lethal gaze. In China, bronze mirrors were valued not only for their polished surface, believed to repel evil spirits, but also for the cosmological patterns cast on their reverse. These designs linked the mirror to cosmic order and spiritual protection, a symbolic role that later reappeared in Taoist and Buddhist ritual use. Ge Hong even recommended wearing a bright mirror on the back so that old demons will not dare come near, showing how the mirror functioned as both a cosmic emblem and a personal shield. In later feng shui traditions, Bagua mirrors, often consecrated through the Kaiguang ritual, were believed to deflect harmful influences and harmonize qi. They served as protective and auspicious objects in the household. According to legend, Archimedes used arrays of polished mirrors, or burning glasses, to concentrate sunlight and set Roman ships ablaze during the siege of Syracuse. Recorded centuries later, it has endured as a striking example of mirrors being weaponized for protection. Across Europe, North Africa, and China, small mirrors were used as protective charms. They were attached to cradles, worn on the body, or placed near beds to guard against the evil eye and other spirits. The belief was that hostile forces would be caught and turned back upon themselves in an act of auto-fascination. Archaeological finds, including mirror plaques in a 5th century tomb, show that these charms protected people in life and were buried with them in death. Today, these same defensive principles appear in modern, non-mythic forms, as media literacy becomes a contemporary shield. When we know ourselves, we can see through deception and hold our own image intact. Critical digital skills, understanding algorithms, verifying sources, recognizing manipulation, protect us in the online world, buffering us from misinformation and overwhelm. By using knowledge as a filter, we frame the reflection intentionally, moderating what enters and deciding whether what we see will change us. Ancient arc, discernment. At the threshold of discernment, we move from guarding against threat to actively exploring and interpreting what is reflected. Defense creates safety and honors boundaries. Discernment, though, is about learning to tell illusion from reality, reflection from truth, and projection from self-awareness. What once required shielding now invites engagement and purposeful interpretation. Throughout history, humans have tried to expand their understanding of the self, first by asking, "Who am I?" Then, "Who am I in relation to others?" And finally, "Who am I in relation to the universe?" In this search, we struggle to uncover what is true, to sift reality from illusion, and to discern the real from what only appears to be. Across many traditions, fellow seekers have left insights that invite us to cross this threshold not with fear, but with curiosity, and perhaps even wonder. At the heart of discernment, we turn to Ibn Arabi, who teaches that we see only reflections, never the real itself. The world is imaginal, a projection that mirrors divine attributes, but not their ultimate source. For Arabi, the reflection is never the thing itself. It always points beyond. This resonance echoes through other traditions. Shankara compares the world to a city reflected in a mirror, or a dream appearing real, yet vanishing upon awakening. In this view, discernment becomes a form of liberation, recognizing Brahman beneath the shifting surface of appearances. Persian mystical poets share a similar metaphor, describing the heart as a mirror that must be polished of dust and illusion in order to reflect divine truth clearly, a theme echoed throughout Islamic art and poetry. In practice, discernment takes shape in the ritual mirrors of Taoist and Zen traditions, where mirrors function as mediators of truth. Their inscribed backs were often considered more important than their reflective fronts, signaling that the hidden, rather than the surface image, reveals reality. These mirrors embodied cosmological order, protective insight, and moral teaching. Even the abstract spirals and cloud motifs carved into them demanded interpretation, training perception to look beyond appearances. Finally, discernment invites integration. Lacan's mirror stage casts mirrors as traps, alienating us in images of wholeness we can never fully embody. But anthropologist Fernandez offers a counterpoint. Mirrors and metaphors can help restore integration, giving us pathways back to a sense of wholeness. Even political texts known as the mirrors for princes, including Al-Ghazali's Nasihat al-Muluk and the medieval King's Mirror, use reflection as a guide toward justice, humility, and reflective self-awareness. Discernment moves us from fear into confidence, no longer guarded at the threshold, but prepared to step forward into development, where reflection opens toward transcendence. Ancient arc, development. Development is the stage where the reflection itself becomes a method. Different approaches crystallized into structured systems, whether therapeutic, spiritual, or creative. Across ancient traditions, mirror work was never static. It evolved into rituals, cosmologies, and ethical codes designed to transform how people lived, loved, thought, and governed. Practices grew to train perception beyond surface appearances, linking reflection to cosmic balance and turning self-awareness into a sustained discipline. And in political texts, like the mirrors for princes, the reflective metaphor matured into a guide for leadership and self-conduct. In each case, the mirror became an active framework for shaping character and culture, pressing the question, what do I do with what I've seen? In this way, development bridges the ancient to the contemporary. What once was ritual polish or sacred inscription becomes conscious prompt design, metacognitive questions, and co-created frameworks. Just as earlier cultures transformed reflection into enduring methods of discernment and guidance, we too are invited to fashion our own mirrors, crafted not only to show us who we are, but to help us grow into who we wish to become. Where once we asked, what do I do with what I've seen? We now turn to formative questions. How can reflection be designed? How can we cultivate interaction that reinforces freedom rather than dependency? And how can self-awareness be sustained without collapsing into illusion?